Welcome to the Home Team Sacramento Podcast. I'm Josh Takimoto, and you may not know that now because I've been MIA for quite a while from this podcast. And that honestly, the more I think about it, the more it bums me out because, first of all, since I started recording podcasts over 4 years ago, not this podcast, but a different podcast, another podcast 4 years ago, my main thing, my main focus, my main pet peeve for podcasting was you've got to be consistent. Because I said there's nothing that bums me out more is when there's a great podcast that launches and all of a sudden they get you into it and then all of a sudden it just fades away. Now, I'm not saying we're a great podcast that you guys are like dying to listen to. Maybe some of you didn't even know we left. That's fair. But what I would say is that when I chose to do this podcast, I wanted to make sure that I was consistent. And even if you can't be consistent, you have to be able to communicate why the consistency is off or why the frequency has changed of when you release podcasts. And so in this specific season, over the course of however many months it's been since April, I didn't communicate that to you guys. I just kind of stopped recording the podcast. I stopped putting them out there. We've been, somewhat active on social media, but even there, we've kind of been a little bit off. And so that's on me. And like I've talked about on this podcast before, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for why I didn't record or why I wasn't posting episodes or why I wasn't more active on social media with Home Team. Because I sometimes think, most of the time, I think that most excuses are a waste of time. Most excuses prolong the problem and prolong the ability for us to get to the solution. And so I'm not interested in that. We've talked a lot on this podcast about that. And it's just something I'm not interested in doing. And really, none of the excuses I would have really justify not being more consistent, or at the very least communicating that to all of you guys. So I do apologize for going MIA. We're back though. I'm excited to be back recording this podcast. I'm incredibly passionate, maybe even more now than I ever have been, about sports, connecting with athletes, connecting with coaches, this area of Sacramento and the greater areas surrounding Sacramento. Our home team is it's nothing's better than when we're in the sports season, when school starts, everybody's going, all the sports are fully going. There's just nothing better. There's just a buzz around the area. There's an excitement. And, that's, I think, part of what kind of brought me out of this little hibernation that I was doing is I think you start seeing all of the sports going around. You see the great things that coaches are doing. You see the great things that athletes are doing. It's like, man, I want to be involved in that. I'm not a coach. I'm not an athlete. But I've always said, I feel like this is my place in the sports community. This is the place I feel comfortable. This is the place I feel like I can provide some value and bring coaches and athletes into this space so that they can share their wisdom and knowledge with all of you guys. And, that's what, again, bums me out about not doing a better job of communicating with you guys, or not doing a better job of getting podcasts out there consistently over the last few months, is that I wasn't able to be in that space. And so all that being said, we're back. We're back with the Home Team Sacramento podcast. We're back to connecting with coaches and athletes, having them come on this podcast, share all their insights with you guys. Hopefully we get some amazing guests. I have a couple booked already that I'm really excited about. And we're going to try to be a lot more consistent moving forward. There's some new energy in me, some new passion. And, like I said, the crazy thing is the whole time that I wasn't recording, I was still excited about Home Team. I was still ready to go, but it was a great lesson for me in this idea of how the lack of consistency or one misstep here or there really allows the laziness to snowball, the complacency to snowball. Because it was one week I said, oh man, I don't have time to record something. I'll cancel this week. I'll record next week. Perfect. Well, but then the next week comes, something comes up. So I push it back again and again and again. And pretty soon it's not me even pushing them back anymore. I'm just not doing them. And then it becomes, I'm not even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden I realized, man, it's been months and months since I recorded a podcast. And at a certain point, it wasn't just, oh, the schedule got in the way. It was laziness. It was complacency. It was, I just don't really feel like putting the work in right now. I love it, but I don't want to put the work in right now. I don't want to edit the podcast. I don't want to try to book a guest. I don't want to try to do any of this stuff. And it was it was in direct opposition of what I'm passionate about. But again, that laziness, I think, can really snowball and build even the things that you're passionate about. If we're not careful, that laziness can really sneak up on you. And before you know it, you've missed out on all this time where you could have been doing something great, but instead you got lazy. And then you sit there just regretting it, right? That's all you really have left at the end of laziness is, man, I was lazy. I chose not to do X, Y, and Z. Now I'm sitting here with this regret because I wish I would have done X, Y, and Z and spent my time a little bit better. And so, all that to say is this is just a very short, I guess, reintroduction. I'm really excited to be back with this podcast. I'm really excited to connect with our home team here in Sacramento. I was looking through our episodes. We hit like 52, 53 episodes. And there's so many other schools. There's so many other coaches. There's so many other sports that I want to get connected with. And so let's do it. Let's connect as a community. Let's connect as coaches and athletes and teachers and athletic directors. We all are a part of this home team. We all have a specific role in reaching young athletes. We have a specific role in mentoring them and helping them not just live at the highest level, but also compete at the highest level. We've always talked about that. We never want to water down competition for character. I've always been a firm believer that character and competition have to go hand in hand if you want both of those things to be achieved at the highest level. I personally don't believe there's any other way to do it. And so that being said, it's going to take all of us, everybody in the community jumping in, being a part of this. And so, like I said, I have a lot of work to do. I know there's so many other schools, so many other coaches that I've never connected with that I would love to chat with on this podcast. And we want to move in that direction. So thank you for all of those people out there, all those coaches and athletes out there who have stuck with us on social media, who have stuck with us, despite this long gap. Hopefully you're excited that this podcast is coming back. Hopefully we can just reconnect and keep this thing moving. And again, like we've always said, even though we may wear different uniforms, at the end of the day, we're all part of this home team. We're all moving in the same direction. We all want the same thing. We want to see the lives of student athletes improved and impacted in a positive way. And so I'm hoping that you guys will rejoin this journey of Home Team Sacramento. And I think we have some really cool stuff planned. I think there's some things that I want to try specifically on social media that I think will be a lot of fun, that will kind of create a more community feel to what we're doing, and we'll get more input and involvement with people around the community. So I'm really excited. And please, if you're listening to this and you see me slacking off again, feel free, reach out and say, hey, you remember episode, whatever it was, when you re-enter this space, you said you weren't going to do this, and it feels like you're doing that again. You let me know. I won't be offended. I'll take that criticism and use it to better myself as a podcaster, as a person. And so, I'm just thankful that you guys are still here. I'm so thankful that you guys are with us, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with Home Team Sacramento. And as always, if you follow us on social media, you can follow us at Home Team Sac on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it's called now. TikTok, if you do the TikTok thing. YouTube, we post these videos on YouTube as well. So if you would rather watch this episode rather than just listen, you can look on YouTube. And anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us there as well. We would appreciate a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would be fantastic. And also, if you're a coach, again, we haven't posted there for a minute, but on Facebook, we do have a Facebook group, and you can join that Facebook group. I think you just answer a couple of questions. I'd let you in the group, and it's supposed to be a place where we're trying to build up that coaches community. So please join there. If you have a friend that's a coach that isn't part of that group, make sure you invite them and get them in that group. And that's pretty much it. So stay tuned. Be ready for next week, because next week we will have a brand new episode, whether it's with just me or whether it's with a coach or athlete or from around the area. Either way, we will have an episode next week. And I'm looking forward to it. And thank you guys so much for being part of the home team.